For those of you who may not know me or may not know me well, I'm Tim Fortescue, a life coach coming alongside of folks in their personal, spiritual, and faith development. And I don't know about you, but while I don't doubt that my early spiritual mentors and teachers and communities were well intentioned, the truth of my belovedness, that this is indeed my core identity, was rarely taught or revealed to me. And I'm 42 now, and it's just been over the last few years that I've really begun to tap into my belovedness and to know and really believe that. In my early, more formative years, I learned about the baptism of Jesus in Matthew 3. And the focus of Jesus' baptism, at least at the time, was it being the beginning and the gateway to Jesus' earthly ministry. You may remember verses 16 and 17 in Matthew chapter 3, where it says, "As soon as Jesus was baptized, he went up out of the water. At that moment, heaven was opened, and he saw the Spirit of God descending like a dove and alighting on him. And a voice from heaven said, 'This is my Son, whom I love. With him I am well pleased.'" And until fairly recently, it hadn't dawned on me that at this point, Jesus hadn't done any miracles or passed the testing that we read about in the next chapters. However, Jesus was still the beloved, and he pleased God by just being who he was. And I want you and me to know that we are beloved children of God, outside of what we do, but because of who we are. And if you need some time for yourself, I want to invite you to join me October 22nd to discover or rediscover how deeply loved you are in a 3-hour virtual mini retreat via Zoom. I'm titling the retreat Being the Beloved. If you're looking to get a clearer picture of who you are and why you have so much to offer the world, this retreat might be something that you need right now that'll help you on your journey. During the 3 hours, I'll lead you through a discussion and exercise and help you discover more about who you are. And we'll learn about and discover the different parts that make up your beloved self and how to connect with God and others without guilt and shame. Some of the components of the retreat will be guided meditations, live customized coaching, both group and individual if you would like to, and parts mapping of all the parts that make up your beloved self. Let me tell you a story that Henry Nouwen shares in his book, Life of the Beloved, and I base much of the retreat on Nouwen's book. He tells a story of a prayer service that he routinely led for a small group of people. Some, but not all, of the participants of this service had disabilities, mostly in their brain and cognitive development. Right before the service began, a woman with a cognitive disability named Janet said to Henry, "Can you give me a blessing?" And Nouwen, being Catholic, responded in an automatic way by quickly making the sign of the cross on her forehead and saying something about Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. But rather than being grateful for this action, Janet was bothered. "No, that doesn't work. I want a real blessing," she says. So Nouwen tells her he'll give her a blessing at the end of the prayer service. So towards the end of the service, with about 30 people sitting around, Henry Nouwen explains that Janet has asked for a special blessing. And not really knowing or being sure what to do or what was expected of him, he stood up. And as quickly as he stood up, Janet quickly moved toward him. He was wearing white robe, big flowy sleeves that extended past his hands, and as soon as Janet reached him, she embraced him, put her head against his chest. Then Henry put his arms around Janet, and she disappeared in the folds of his big flowy vestments, completely wrapped And then from the most real place in his heart, Henry Nouwen said, "Janet, I want you to know that you are God's beloved daughter. You're precious in God's eyes. You're a beautiful human being, and you're deeply loved by God." And it didn't stop with Janet. After Janet, another disabled woman asked for a blessing. And then one of the assistants, a 24-year-old student, asked for one. And so it went, each person being embraced, enveloped in white, and told the truth that they are beloved, personally seen and deeply loved by God, not once or once in a while, but always, at every moment. To give you a taste of what the retreat has to offer, check out one of the guided meditations that I'll use during the retreat below to help us tap into our belovedness. The cost of the retreat is $75. However, I'm offering an early bird rate of 20% off if you sign up and pay before Monday, October 10th. And the cost will be $60 with that discount. And you can get the early bird rate and the link provided below this video. And feel free to let me know if you have any questions. You can send me an email to tim@faithfullygrowing.com. And just like Henry told Janet, I want you to know, I want me to know that we are God's beloved, that you are God's beloved. You're precious in God's eyes. You're a beautiful human being. And you are deeply loved by God. I hope to meet or reconnect with you at the retreat on October 22nd. Take good care.